Welcome to Celestial Insights, a weekly podcast that brings the stars down to earth. I'm your host, astrologer, coach, and intuitive Celeste Brooks. My purpose is to provide practical, unique, and insightful guidance to help you navigate the energies of the week like a boss. Hello, this is Celeste of Astrology by Celeste, and on this episode, I will discuss the astrology for the week of February 2nd, 2025. Next Sunday, February 9th, I'm having a free workshop on the lunar nodes on the axis of well-being. The North Node is in Pisces and the South Node is in Virgo. It is so important for us to recognize how we are handling all of the big changes that are going on in the collective. So this workshop is intended to have a more spiritual focus about how we can use these energies in the best way for our highest good. You can sign up at the link in the show notes or go to astrologybyceleste.com. It's on the workshops page of my website. My mentoring group, which starts on the 16th of February, is sold out, but if you're in the Sacramento area, I'm having a Lunar Planning Workshop on February 23rd. So you can still sign up at the link in the show notes. In taking a look back at astrology in action, one of the biggest transits I was interested in seeing how it would show up was Venus in Pisces trine Mars retrograde in Cancer. And it was especially of interest is because of the dignities. Venus is exalted in the sign of Pisces, where it's lifted up, has a special seat at the table, is admired. Mars in Cancer is in the sign of its fall, where it is in an alien environment. There's acting in extreme and potentially ineffectual ways. State of misfortune. So it was almost like on a pedestal versus the bottom of a well. And because Mars was retrograde, Venus and Mars were moving towards each other, so mutually applying in this trine aspect, which removes all restrictions. Thieves in the Netherlands blew the doors off a Dutch museum to steal gold masterpieces. This happened under the Sagittarius moon. Now, a retrograde suggests that potentially the authorities are going to be able to retrace their steps as they go over the crime. So I wouldn't be surprised if they are caught. I also wouldn't be surprised if this was somewhat of an inside job, because you can think about the gold masterpieces. Venus and Pisces, these beautiful art pieces sitting literally probably on a pedestal in the museum. And these thieves use explosives. Mars rules explosives in order to gain access and steal these and take them into probably the dark web, which is the bottom of a well, symbolically, in order to sell them. Another thing that brought interest to this situation is that Mars was at 22.5 degrees of Cancer, which is a world point. So I was looking to see what in the collective would make big news. And the newspaper called this the biggest incident in 170 years in the Netherlands. So a museum heist is on point with Venus in Pisces trine Mars retrograde in Cancer. And under the Sagittarius moon, shadow Sagittarius energy can be lawless. The next day, Mercury in the sign of Capricorn, which rules governments and big business, was sextile Neptune in Pisces. And Venus in Pisces was sextile Uranus in Taurus. Sextiles are opportunistic, they're harmonious aspects. And on Monday, the stock market took a nosedive when a Chinese company launched DeepSync, which is an AI model that they made for a fraction of the cost of US AI investments. And it sent shockwaves, and the New York Times, I believe, called it an earthquake. So here we have this Uranian imagery, and NVIDIA was one of the companies that was the biggest losses because they make these chips for AI at a very high cost. And so Venus and Pisces, their value was inflated, and they make AI chips that were highly valued because they're thought to be unique and pioneer in the marketplace that stands out. Turns out that, hey, another country was able to replicate what they do. It's probably still to be realized exactly, how significant an achievement what DeepSync is doing. But NVIDIA lost 600 billion with a B dollars in market cap. Now, this is an unfolding story. I'm recording the episode on Tuesday, the 28th of January. So we'll see how if the market rights itself. But with Mars retrograde, people are ready to take action suddenly. So I wouldn't be surprised if there is a bit of a panic sell-off in the market. We shall see. Mercury rules trades, and trades occur on the stock market. In the sign of Capricorn, you can also think about this product, an app that showed up on the App Store and soared to the top, made by a company, Capricorn. And then the sextile Neptune in Pisces, it seemed to come out of nowhere. Their logo is a whale. Neptune and Pisces. Whales are a sea animal, and Pisces is a water sign. And Venus sextile Uranus, the value of NVIDIA and the money in the stock market had a sudden reversal. Uranus rules reversals. Last week's episode was called The Sky is Falling, and we're seeing that part of the story unfolds with the sky being the ceiling of the market coming down. The Birthdate Company makes amazing products, and I am a proud affiliate. I especially love the Birth Date book. It's a fully personalized, beautiful, and unique reading of your birth chart with over 70 pages of detailed horoscope analysis. It is such high quality. I absolutely love it. They also make amazing birth date candles. You can get it for yourself or as a gift for someone else. So check out the store and use my coupon code Celeste10 for a 10% discount. Go to bit.ly/3PW3NFM. You can find that in the link in the show notes. Enjoy. The theme of this week is disturbing the peace, and there are three big things I want you to think about as you navigate this week. The first is that Venus, the planet of love, money, beauty, and harmony, will enter the sign of Aries from February 3rd to March 27th, and then again April 30th through June 5th. And the reason there are two different date sets is because Venus is going to go retrograde on March 1st through April 12th. Retrogrades are an optical illusion where a planet appears to stop in the sky, move backward through the zodiac, stop again, and then move forward. So there's an area of your chart where you're getting 3 coats of paint, where the planet is going over forward, then reverse, and then forward again, intensifying the themes of what the planet rules and how it reacts. And retrogrades can bring delays, reversals, and the collapse of anything contemplated. Also, disagreements. Now, Venus rules relationships, and in Aries, which is a fire sign, it is in detriment. Venus is at home in Libra, which is opposite Aries, and it makes perfect sense. That's an air sign. Air communicates and it connects. Venus's job is to partner and unite and bring things together and sweeten. Venus brings blessings. It sweetens life. It invites. In Aries, as far away from home as it can be, in a fire sign, Venus is more self-focused. So there's a really beautiful opportunity to consider your relationships and about how you take actions for the self versus the other. Is there a healthy balance between how you take actions for yourself and how you take actions for other people? Are you too far into people pleasing or being too self-focused? Do you go along just to get along? Or do you stand up and assert your needs when necessary? We just finished on January 11th, a 18-month cycle where the South Node was in the sign of Libra, kind of digging up stuff about how you relate to others. Almost everyone I know had some kind of relationship that was under stress or ended. So this will be a great time to start contemplating these themes. Venus will appear to stop in the sky at 10 degrees of Aries. So look at your chart. Do you have a planet there? If so, that planet is getting a triple dose of Venus. Now, Venus is a benefic. It doesn't mean anything bad is going to happen, but there can be things that are brought to your conscious attention in order for you to recognize them. Shadow things may come up, and if you are being self-aware, this can be a beautiful period for healing and understanding about how your desires and your actions in order to connect with others are beneficial versus perhaps there needs to be some adjustment. You will definitely be seeing an increase in disagreements and potentially hostility, even amongst people in public. Venus and Aries can be like someone just walks through a door and just pushes it open and just keeps going and has no awareness of who's behind them, and like the door smacks someone else behind them in the face because they didn't hold it open and for the next person. That could be something that feels like Venus in Aries. There can be an uptick in breakups of any kind of relationships. Limitations on resources. Venus will be conjunct Saturn in Pisces. Saturn is limiting 2 more times because of the retrograde cycle. And then trine Mars 2 more times. And Mars severs and separates. And with trines or smooth, easy flow of energy, this may be one of these dates when they catch the thieves that stole the masterpieces from the Dutch Museum. It's either Monday, the 27th, or Tuesday morning, January 28th, where the federal government of the United States announced that funding and grants were going to be frozen. So this is causing chaos. 2 days before Uranus stations direct, around the country and potentially the world because there are so many places that are reliant on this funding. There's potentially people in the US who receive food stamps or school lunches are no longer going to be able to get this funding, even though it was appropriated by Congress. So this Venus in Aries can be like people who had been expecting a check on February 1st. So, it should have come February 3rd or gotten a deposit in their bank accounts. It's not there because the government banned it with an executive order. Now, this is causing a crisis because the president is not supposed to usurp Congress's power to distribute funding. So we'll see what happens with this. But yeah, this could be a big deal where people are all of a sudden can't pay their rent, can't buy groceries. There's funding we give to countries around the world for health and other reasons who are scrambling to figure out how they're going to continue their work. It's a really, really serious issue that's causing upheaval out of nowhere. Uranus is stationing direct on Donald Trump's midheaven. So the actions he is taking are very Uranian, causing sudden breaks in resources. Taurus rules resources. Uranus is in Taurus. And stress, anxiety, and chaos for lots of people. So this is another reason I'm having this workshop so that people can think about some tools to manage this collective upheaval that we're seeing. Now, Israel's a Libra rising, so hopefully this does not mean there's going to be some problem with the ceasefire because their chart ruler, Venus, is going into the sign of its detriment. For this transit, consider your relationships, put extra energy in the ones you value, and maybe be a little more careful about communications is a way to navigate this transit with more ease. Journaling through Venus and Aries is a great thing to do. Maybe pulling a card every day from an oracle deck about what do I need to know today about my relationships can help give you guidance. But 10 Aries is where Venus stations, and it goes back to 24 Pisces. So that area of your chart is getting the 3 coats of paint. You also might want to look at your budget and consider, like, is it possible all of the stuff going on with the government is impacting you? If so, what do you need to do to be able to navigate this storm? My heart goes out to all the people who just suddenly up and lost their jobs. The next thing I want to make you aware of is that Jupiter, the planet of expansion, Jupiter invests. Jupiter's the other benefic. It's slowing to station direct at 11 degrees of Gemini, an air sign. Now, Jupiter is also in detriment. So having Venus and Jupiter, the benefics, both in the sign of their detriment, where they can't do what they do as easily, is symbolic of difficult times. We are in difficult times. There's no doubt about that. Jupiter rules judges and legal affairs. So I'm wondering if some of the court cases that have been filed in order to get the funding to people, it'll be really interesting to see what happens with the court cases, how soon they're going to be hearing them, because Jupiter's not moving. It's slow. It's going to take a while for it to get going again. And Venus will not be in a sextile with Jupiter. Venus and Aries won't get to sextile the opportunity to kind of get this money back, potentially not for a few months, because Venus stops at 10 degrees and goes backwards. Now, Jupiter is stationing conjunct a fixed star Aldebaran. This is one of the royal fixed stars of Persia. These are four stars that used to mark the equinoxes and the solstice points. They don't anymore just because fixed stars move slightly. It's called something called the progression of the equinoxes. They move like a degree every 72 years. That's not really that important. But Aldebaran is an important star. It's the bullseye star. So you might notice people with like a patch on their eye or a problem with one eye whenever Aldebaran is activated. That's what I notice. It's also associated with Mithra, a mythological figure who was the slayer of the bull. I'm hoping we're not going to get news about bird flu and cattle. Already some cattle have been infected and we didn't even know they could be. So this could mean a lot of cattle is being put down. Aldebaran is also the lord of contracts. So the government has a contract with people if funding has been granted to these different organizations and people that it should be given. So hopefully the Supreme Court is going to overrule the president and say the funding must go out. But we shall see what happens. We are in such a brave new world. I wouldn't be surprised about anything. The sun is on a world point of 15 Aquarius. So there's going to be big news. Aquarius is an air sign. So is Gemini. This could be uptick in winds or news about Aquarius rules aviation, or maybe it's also technology. Maybe there'll be more news about the tech stocks or this new DeepSeek AI product. Aquarius also rules groups of people. So there's going to be big news that impacts a lot of people. Now, Jupiter is a benefic, so it going direct suggests there could be more positive things coming in, but it's moving slowly. So this is like you're waiting for the check or the contract to be signed and it's delayed. So this could be symbolic of people's funding being delayed with Venus, which rules money, entering the sign of his detriment in Aries, and then Jupiter is like not moving in the sky. So the wealth, Jupiter rules wealth, is in a stop. It's going to be very interesting. I'll be watching to see what happens with this federal funding. Now, notice if you have anything at 11 Gemini, are you getting more opportunities or things coming in? I have a client who's been in a multi-year dry spell, has her moon at right around that degree, and is now dating two guys that she has to choose from. So Gemini does things twice, and it brings blessings. And she's got these two people who she's considering whether she wants to be in a relationship with either of them. So notice what blessings you get and try not to get too upset if something you're expecting is a little delayed because it is in the energy. But I'm hoping the Supreme Court rules in the favor of the American people rather than the president and the funding goes back out. The last thing I want to make you aware of is that we're having a first quarter moon at 16 Taurus on Wednesday. First quarter moons are times of action. So really notice what is happening in your own life as well as the collective. The sun is in Aquarius, which has to do with our hopes and dreams, our ideals, our future plans, friends, groups, and organizations. And the moon in Taurus. Taurus rules our resources. It's a fixed earth sign. Maybe a friend calls you out of the blue and invites you to go see an event, but you have to consider it because you're not sure if you want to spend the money for the tickets. That could be something that comes up for you. Or right away, you're like, hey, yeah, I'm going. But with Venus, which rules Taurus in the side of Aries, its detriment, you might be hesitant to spend the extra money. Yeah. kids who are getting school lunches and all of a sudden the money's gone. Like, what's going to happen? Are there going to be teachers across the country who are having to shop for their students so that they can have enough food to be able to pay attention in class? We shall see. Taurus is also about the simple enjoyment of life. So maybe instead of buying your cup of coffee, you decide to make it at home and just enjoy it at home so that you have more money to do other things, or just go for a walk, or have a picnic in a park if you live somewhere warm enough rather than going out to a restaurant. Like, maybe you're pulling in your resources, bringing people into your network in order to enjoy life that's less expensive. Jupiter is stationing at this first quarter moon to go direct. So I'm looking at the quartz, as I said, and Venus. And I don't think I mentioned it, but Venus at 0 Aries, when it's in that sign, it's on a world point. So I'm hoping people get a win, but Aries energy, we shall see what happens. Regarding the lunar phase family, this family was seated at the new moon on May 7th, 2024, where the sun and the moon were both in Taurus at 18 degrees. So think back to then. Was there a story in your life that now has a pivot point where there's some kind of course correction? Look back over the last 9 months. These are called lunar gestational cycles. It takes 9 months to grow a baby. What was seeded 9 months ago? Now we have the sun in Aquarius, the moon in Taurus, both at 16 degrees on February 5th, 2025. All will be illuminated at the full moon, where the sun is in Scorpio, the moon is in Taurus in November 5th, 2005. They'll both be at 13 degrees. What comes to your conscious attention? Is there a culmination of what started at the new moon around this time? The last quarter moon, the sun is in Leo, the moon is in Taurus, August 5th, 2026. They're both at 13 degrees as well. So there's 9 months between each of these. It's a 27-month cycle. It's called the moon phase family or lunar gestational cycles. They're great to use for planning, for longer range projects, as well as noticing what shows up in your life, especially if your chart is activated, meaning you have planets or placements around 12 to 19 degrees of Taurus. This is a bit of a wide one. Sometimes they're a lot tighter. But pay attention, see what is coming up in your life, as well as the collective. The sun is in Aquarius, and it's on a fixed star called Swallowson. And this is the dolphin star. So notice if we hear any news about dolphins or you see dolphins in the collective, but there's an aspect of being playful. So can we remember, although life is feeling very heavy right now for many people, can we take a step back, view things from a higher perspective? We can be our best selves when we're feeling grounded and feeling positive about the future and joyful. So can you do something where you just allow yourself to be somewhat playful around this day or this next week? The tarot card for the sun at 16 degrees of Aquarius is the Six of Swords. This is a card of walking away, of rites of passage, transitions, and it can be like leaving a difficult place with some regret, but you're going towards calmer waters. The Sabian symbol is a watchdog standing guard, protecting his master and his possessions. This has to do with guardianship. In the U.S., immigration and enforcement is rounding up people all over the country and in Puerto Rico, a U.S. territory, for deportation. This is one of President Trump's promises, that he would be rounding up people in the country illegally. We are seeing a lot of chaos Many of the people here in the country come in illegally because of our broken immigration system, and they do the work Americans won't do. And I've seen several stories about people not showing up to work to pick vegetables and fruits, which is going to be driving likely prices up at the grocery store eventually. This could be with Venus and Aries. You go into the grocery store expecting to spend $100, and the stuff you want now costs $120. And then you have to make decisions about what you're going to put back or not put back potentially. Could be how people are experiencing this energy, especially with the first quarter moon. Like, we got to adjust our budget, Taurus, in order to be able to feed the family. Maybe instead of steak, we're having chicken, or we're going vegetarian. The moon at 16 degrees of Taurus is the Six of Pentacles. This is a card of giving, generosity, and charity. So we may be seeing, like I said, teachers bringing extra food to school, or churches asking for additional money in order to help people who are now suddenly finding themselves unexpectedly without government assistance who needed it. The Sabian symbol is a symbolic battle between swords, the disciplines of might, and torches, the disciplines of enlightenment. And that's what we're seeing in the US. We're moving towards this brutal treatment of our own citizens as well as other people, with all of the funding just being planned to go to war and making more wealth. It's really a time of change, chaos, and crisis. Reading from Linda Hill's book, The Sabian Oracle, she talks about how the key words for the Sabian symbol, the battle between might versus light, the spear of destiny, the story of Hitler, the Inquisition, and the Crusades. Taurus rules land, and Donald Trump has declared that the U.S. needs Greenland for national security reasons. So I wouldn't be surprised if something surprising goes on related to, or decision is made, or statements are made about the U.S. intentions on taking Greenland, whether Denmark likes it or not. We are in a whole new world. If you are embarking on a new journey, experiencing a major life event, feeling stuck, trying to make a difficult decision, or just looking to make positive changes, astrology can provide life-changing insights. There are several ways to work with me. You can come for a 60 or 90-minute astrology consultation depending on your needs. Engage in longer-term cosmic success coaching, where we work together on a 3-month basis to help you overcome blocks, improve your life satisfaction, build better relationships, accomplish your career goals, and understand yourself better using the tool of astrology. Or mystic mentoring if you're an aspiring astrologer and want help with chart analysis techniques. Go to astrologybyceleste.com to check out my offerings. If you have any questions, you can email me at celeste@astrologybyceleste.com. On Sunday, the word of the day is opportunity. The Aries moon sextiles Mercury in Aquarius and Jupiter in Gemini on this day. Sextiles in air and fire are very creative, and opportunities may drop into your lap. So really pay attention to what goes on. Like if you're at the gym and someone is really helpful to you, or you spark up a conversation, you can make a new friend. On Monday, the word of the day is justice. The Aries moon meets Chiron at 19 degrees. And this is why I think a lot of people might no longer have their benefits because there's some kind of chironic wounding or healing people are experiencing. And Aries is a sign of independence. So, say someone's disabled, now they don't have their benefits. They're going to have to figure out how they're going to take care of their needs without this unexpected loss of income. Mercury in Aquarius is trine Jupiter retrograde in Gemini, both at 11 degrees. People may be calling a friend to ask for some assistance. Mercury rules communication, Aquarius friends. Jupiter invests in, it's a benefic, or it could be a sibling. Gemini rules siblings. So that can be something that we're hearing. We can be hearing about court cases being filed. Mercury rules lawyers, Jupiter judges. There could be more news about bird flu. And also I say that because Mars retrograde in Cancer, Cancer nourishes, it rules the stomach. There's some kind of problem, is squaring Chiron in Aries, both at 19 degrees. So be careful with arguments with others. Be careful in the kitchen, especially with fire and knives. Mars rules sharp objects as well as fire. So there's easy access to getting in a conversation that go out of control and lead to some kind of fight is also something that could go on with the moon in Aries. Keep the theme of justice, bringing fairness and balance to any conversations or communications. The moon will enter Taurus at 7:33 p.m., where the moon is exalted and cooler heads can prevail and stability can return. This is a great evening to maybe have a bath or something, eat a nice meal, do something that soothes your senses. Venus enters Aries at 11:56 p.m. Pacific time. The planet of love, beauty, and harmony. It could be in a little bit of a frisky, fighting mood. On Tuesday, the word of the day is stationary. This is the day that Jupiter stations direct at 11 degrees of Gemini on Aldebaran. When a planet's stationing, it's not moving. Gemini has to do with transportation or local neighborhoods, short distance travel. So there may be some travel delays. People may be sitting in airports because the winds, Gemini's an air sign, the winds are a little heavy or something like that. But Aldebaran, the fixed star, is known as the rainmaker. So I'm hoping that in LA, we're having better weather that's helping the firefighters put out these fires if they're not already out. On Wednesday, the word of the day is limitations. There's a first quarter moon at 16 Taurus at 1:54 a.m. Pacific time. First quarter moons are times of action. So you can think about what intentions did you set at the Aquarius new moon? Do you want to make adjustments? Look at the lunar gestational family. What started 9 months ago? What needs to be adjusted now? Now, the moon will be in a sextile with Mars retrograde in Cancer and Saturn direct in Pisces. So Saturn slows things down and Mars retrograde, like our actions are delayed by the retrograde. So you can use this energy to get some hard work done or move through hard tasks. If you're like, my whatever you wanted to buy just went up at the grocery store, or there's no eggs, you wanted to make an omelet, what are you going to do instead? You can think about and have the energy to stay calm and maintain focus and pivot. Now, later, the moon will meet Uranus, and I wrote down raids on homes. So we may be hearing about some upheaval in some of these ice raids that are going on that make big news. The moon enters the sign of Gemini at 10:43 p.m. Pacific time. So something Uranian that impacts a lot of people, causes some kind of upheaval on this day, I believe. It could be Tuesday too, or with Jupiter stationing, it could be delayed a little bit, but something's going to make big news that grabs our attention. Now, I am limiting my news because it's just too overwhelming with all the massive amounts of executive orders, the chaos, the upheaval. So taking things in bite-sized pieces is what I'm personally trying to do in order to not get overwhelmed, because that's the intention. On Thursday, the word of the day is confusion. Now, the moon will meet Jupiter, which can be really nice. Like, some people are feeling positive about something, but the North Node is conjunct Neptune in Pisces, which feels like, Neptune is the planet of illusions, delusions, and confusion. So there's some kind of massive confusion. There could be tech issues or something, or maybe there's a lot of rain that is hopefully helpful, not causing mudslides or something like that. But there's an amplification of Neptunian energy. This can also be about another announcement of some group the U.S. is leaving, or a group makes some kind of statement that impacts a lot of people. The nodes are associated with groups. On Friday, the word of the day is collective. The sun in Aquarius is quincunx Mars retrograde in Cancer. They're both at 18 degrees. Quincunxes are adjustment energy. Something's in your blind spot, something martial. So pay attention. Maybe you just find something in the refrigerator because Mars is in Cancer that's like rotten and you just need to throw it out. Like it's way in the back. You didn't realize it, so you have to pull it out. But the collective, there is this uneasiness people are feeling inside in their stomachs, no matter if they love everything that's going on or hate everything that's going on. There is something uneasy. Mars retrograde in Cancer. It's like, there's a little stomach upset. So this is a great time to do a body scan. Venus in Aries will be sextile Pluto in Aquarius. So something coming to our conscious attention about women's issues and power exerted over women. I mean, every time you turn around, Afghanistan is doing something horrific to women. Now they can't be doctors. They can't have blinds on their windows. I mean, it's on and on and on. They can't talk to each other. So we may be hearing something about a worldwide thing about women. Hopefully it's positive. Maybe it's women warriors stepping up and getting prominent. Maybe it's these women who are disturbing the peace, but it's for righteous reasons. I wrote down, she shall rise. A woman gets some kind of prominence, rising to power. Pluto rules power. Mercury in Aquarius is quincunx Saturn. So Saturn rules the authority. They're both at 18 degrees. Someone speaking about Mercury collective issues, Aquarius, that are causing delays or hardship to masses of people. There could be a really powerful speech about how the president is harming people. Sun in Aquarius is sextile Chiron in Aries. The sun is the leader and Chiron wounds. They're both at 19 degrees. So really pay attention. This is something big, adjusting. There's something going on this day with Mars and Saturn activated that is causing some kind of crisis or bringing awareness to us that's important. On Saturday, the word of the day is subterfuge. The moon enters the water sign of Cancer at 3:03 a.m. The moon is at home in this sign where she can do what she does with ease, which is feel and emote. A great day for meditation and really checking in with yourself, because the gibbous moon is at 5 degrees of Cancer at 12:31 p.m., where the moon is bursting. It's pregnant with possibilities. There is maybe this desire to get things out. Mercury's in Aquarius, sextile Chiron in Aries. So they're both at 19 degrees. So this could be like you're writing in your journal or talking to a friend about how everything that's going on in the world is impacting you. Or just maybe pick one or two things where you feel like you want to do some diving into this experience. Maybe how you can help. Maybe you sign up to volunteer or help an organization in some way that is giving resources or services to make the world a better place. Now, it's called subterfuge because Mercury is combust. It's hidden under the rays of the sun. So there could be some surprising things that are coming up that may happen today. It's like something could go boom because Mars and Saturn are talking, being a trine on Sunday where there's easy flow of energy. So just watch your temper, watch your internal. If you have kids, maybe this is a great time and they're young to help them with tools to manage their emotions because they may be feeling something rising inside of them and they aren't aware of it and they can be there's a lot of tension. So just be aware, subterfuge can be about making what's subconscious within yourself come up to your conscious attention. And with a Cancer moon, that can help you. It can help you get in touch with your emotions, and with the Mercury and Jupiter and air signs, help you communicate with words what's going on. So that's it for this week's episode. Feel free to email me at celeste@astrologybyceleste.com with any astrology and action stories, or let me know how the daily themes are playing out for you. Take care, and I'll catch you next week. Thank you for listening to Celestial Insights. To learn more about my work, please visit my website, astrologybyceleste.com, where I offer personal readings, horary consultations, cosmic coaching, group events, and classes to help guide people to higher levels of fulfillment. You can also find me on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and Facebook at Astrology by Celeste. If you enjoyed Celestial Insights, please help others find the show. Follow, rate it 5 stars, or write a nice review. I would so appreciate it. I'm astrologer, coach, and intuitive Celeste Brooks, and I'll be back next week.